Chapter 8. Wrapping up. Everything has to come to an end sometime. L. Frank Baum, The Marvelous Land of Oz. I hope your creative juices are flowing and your mind is spinning with characters, scenes, and plot points. Maybe you're even pondering themes without feeling you're back in high school. It's been a few years since I first wrote this guide. I've been traditionally published and had 2 agents. Thankfully, neither of them sold anything for me, so I still owned the rights to my books when independent publishing took off. Both my agents encouraged me to try new things, and one of them urged me to quit trying new genres and to focus. I listened to the try new things advice and dumped the rest. I sometimes think about the books I wouldn't have written if I'd focused on one genre, and the things I learned from wandering among the genres. I've written romantic suspense, thriller, comedy suspense, time travel, science fiction romance, steampunk, and paranormal. So yeah, I'm not very good at focusing. Haha. But one thing that is consistent to my author voice and style is that at the heart of every book I've written are the thrills, the chills, and some happy ending sighs. And I still use the techniques in this book to craft my novels. I hope you'll find them equally useful. One thing I know readers and editors will love you if you make your characters fear, laugh, cry, sigh, and sometimes die, because they'll be taking the ride with them and with you. Happy creating. Now go write something. Copyright C 2023 by Pauline Baird Jones, all rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced in any form or by any electronic or mechanical means, including information storage and retrieval systems, without written permission from the author, except for the use of brief quotations in a book review. This is revised edition of Perilous Pauline's Quick Start Guide to Writing Made-Up Mayhem, the author's Odyssey sample. I hated hearing the truth when I got ready to publish my first book. I remember thinking, how can you be so bitter? You're published. And I wondered if they did the discouragement routine to eliminate the competition. Yes, I really wondered that. Publishing slots were few in the last century, and the competition was keen to get one and keep it. And then I did my first dance with a traditional publisher, and I was like, oh, that's why they were bitter. So basically, I didn't believe the people I probably should have believed. Looking back, I was lucky there weren't that many authors around who I needed not to believe. Oh, there were people peddling dreams, but it's easier to do that now with the internet in play. Let's face it, writers are pretty easy to trick. We all want to believe that writing a book will bring instant success and we'll be showered with money, adulation, and movie deals. And of course, the problem is, there is a slight chance it could happen. But it is uncontrolled lightning. Not even actual traditional publishers know how to bring the lightning. So that leaves us dealing with an uncertain business and trying to manage expectations when the target of our hopes keeps randomly moving. Ask anyone who has been in this business a few years, and they will tell you that you'd better love writing or find something else to do. There are tons of better ways to make money. So the first thing you have to manage is discouragement, jealousy, and disappointment when the publishing lightning misses you or strikes someone you know. So I told you about the agent with the cute dress, but I had another agent between the cute dress and self-publishing. She was with a big-time literary house and had serious chops. She even got me inches from a deal with a traditional publishing house. I give thanks every day that I said no to what they wanted me to do for that deal. You want to know? They said I needed to add sex scenes. None of the closed-door nonsense. I don't write sex scenes in my books because A, my mother wouldn't like it. B, you already know what to do and can imagine them yourself. And C, I don't want to. So much for write a good book. It was actually write a good book with sex scenes. At the time, it was a low point. I'd parted ways with the publisher who wanted to pay me peanuts, and now I'd lost my big-time agent and a publishing deal. I had to sit down with myself and figure out if I was going to keep going. I mean, how long can you keep torturing yourself doing something? Turns out a long time. But here's the thing. For me, writing wasn't just about a business, though I try to run my writing business with as much professionalism as is possible. It's about self-care. It's about listening to my inner muse. It's about doing what makes me happy. And it's very cathartic to put my characters through challenges and trials. It makes me easier to live with. The business still manages to knock the legs out from under me, but if I don't write, I'm not happy anyway. So I might as well keep suffering doing something I like than suffering doing something I don't like. So here's the deal. The landscape has changed a lot from when I first started up this rocky road. But the main things haven't changed that much. I know, it sounds crazy. What hasn't changed? Well, it is still hard to get a traditional publishing contract. There are still more writers trying to get into those diminishing publishing slots. If anything, it might have gotten harder. I don't even give them the side eye anymore. I'm so over traditional publishing. Agents? Well, they still work with traditional publishers, but they are scrambling too, as advances decrease and more authors move into self-publishing. So we'll give them a no change rating. What has changed? Well, you don't have to wait forever or try to get a contract. You can publish on your own. Here's an exchange I had during my last dance with my traditional publisher. Me, why are you reducing how much money I am getting? Them, we have to make a living. Me, so do I. Them, then you shouldn't be publishing with us. So I quit publishing with them. I see authors choosing to go with a small press to learn the ropes. I understand. I published with a handful of small presses, none of which are around today. Some of the ones I didn't publish with did survive all these years. I did learn the ropes from them. I learned that I can make more money punishing myself. When small presses first started popping up, their terms were decent, their contracts 1, maybe 2 pages, and they were trying to build their business, so they did try to promote their authors' books. But here's the sticking point for me these days. You really only get sales lift from a small press the first few months, maybe even the first year. After that, you do all the lifting, but their percentage of the take doesn't change. So you end up supporting them more than your own business. The truth is, contracts for authors are ridiculous and should have been changed a long time ago. I'll stop there before I really start to rant, lol. But there is no question in my mind that the opening up of Amazon, Apple, Kobo, Nook, and Google Play changed my publishing life forever. Print on demand, which used to be a dirty word, has also become respectable as print and shipping costs keep rising, and even traditional publishers have switched to this model for some of their titles. So responding to the few who still see a stigma in do-it-yourself publishing is really their problem. I do me and let them do whatever they want. Is there a downside? Of course there is. This is the publishing business, which means there is no easy button or smooth path. In between easy and bumpy. Authors really need to understand the business, so at least they know when they are making a less than wise choice. So one more ugly reality, then we'll move on. In a legal action involving 2 big publishers wanting to merge their businesses, it was revealed that most books they publish only sell about 12 copies a year. The statistics are about that grim for indie authors without a fan base. At last count, Amazon had an estimated 50 million books for sale. The competition is steep at the other book sites, too. Getting published is the easy part, if you go the indie route. Authors seeking a traditional publishing contract don't get to choose how or when their book will be published. But when they do get that contract, they face the same challenges as the indie author: how to get eyes on your book, how to sell your books. If you want to have a publishing business, if you want to sell books, you'll need to learn to manage your business so that you can make good decisions about where to spend your money and when, no matter which publishing path you pursue. This would be a good time to ask yourself what you want. You can still get out now. It's a lot harder to walk away, at least in my opinion, once you get addicted to creating people and worlds. So now is the time to be honest with yourself about what you want, and then be honest about what you can get. What path do you want to pursue? What are the obstacles? What are the possible rewards? How do I get from where I am to where I want to be? Are you willing to do the hard work to get there? Are you willing to learn the writing craft and build a solid foundation for a long-term writing career? Do you want to build a fan base of readers who love what you write? Or are you in it to get rich quick? If you are in it for the money, there are faster ways to make it than writing. Are you up for a few more hard truths? At every conference we went to, where editors talked about what kind of books they wanted, they all said a version of this: write a good book. They weren't lying, but they weren't telling the whole truth either. What they meant was write a good, marketable book with a built-in audience. How publishing and writing is portrayed in the movies and on television is more fictional than your novel. Not every published book makes it onto the shelf in a bookstore or a library. Very few authors get paid for book tours and all the hoopla that we dream about. For most authors, the money spent on promoting their book comes out of their own pocket, whether you published it or a publisher contracted it. Even major publishers don't get all the books they publish onto the shelves of bookstores or libraries. And here's our last hard truth for this chapter. Not everyone will love your book. The definition of a good book is subjective and very personal for readers. And that definition for editors starts with, is it marketable? Your last question could be, am I tough enough for this business? Writing a book is just the beginning. Having a book writing business means learning what path to take, who to trust, and how much to invest. If you hang around long enough, you'll eventually realize that becoming an author isn't exactly a wise business decision. Can you live with that? Just because this is a crazy, random, flawed business doesn't mean you can't run your part of the business professionally. In fact, because it is so insane, it's more important to be businesslike. It helps to control what is under your power to control, not much. And it helps to be realistic about what to expect. But if you can, run and save yourself. Still with me? So what can you expect from this business? I'm going to try to sound businesslike here, so bear with me. It probably won't last. When you put fingers to keyboard and finish a project, you've created an intellectual property, IP. Whether in digital format or handwritten, no matter what the format, copyright protects it from the moment of creation. New authors, and yes, I was one of them, tend to want to tell the world about their book, or B, hide it so no one will steal their amazing and original idea. I was driving to a conference with several authors, and one of them told us her amazing and original idea. The next day, I was looking at the swag table and found a postcard with the exact same idea outlined in the blurb. But it won't be the same idea because how we write is unique to us. So, there are no new ideas, just new ways of writing them. It's better to focus on developing your author voice. Now, I'm not saying plagiarism doesn't happen. We've all seen the news stories, but people tend to steal content from successful books. Registering your copyright doesn't protect you from theft, but it does give you additional tools, such as damages, to fight back when it happens. It is a good business practice to formally register your copyright, and it also provides you with protection if someone comes after you for infringement. And yes, sadly, that does happen. So you have your finished book, but you aren't a business just yet. A finished book is a hope, a learning experience, even a passion. When you contract that book to a publisher or publish it yourself, then it becomes a business. And what kind of business that is, that's totally up to you. The cool thing about being an author is that what our books look like, sound like, what our business looks like, is going to be different from every author on earth, because they aren't you. Some best practices for every author are to keep honing your writing skills, manage your resources. Money and time are the biggies. Know what rights are attached to your IP, intellectual property, promote your books, and protect your content creator, you, so you can write more books. One book is a startup business, and some authors never get past that point. But if you're in it for the long haul, you should also consider networking with other authors, managing your customer relations, homing your business skills, learning how to market, and a bunch of other stuff. About now, you're probably thinking, but I just want to be a writer. And besides, I'm not published. Why should I worry about this now? The thing is, there is so much you can do to start building a reader base before you publish if you know what you're doing. If you're going to drive a car, you have to learn how to do it, get a license, pass some tests. Of course, you don't have to do any of these things. You can wander your way through the experiences, and if you're lucky, it turns out fine. Or you can get caught by scammers and bad contracts, or damage your author platform before you even get started. Some things are just setbacks that slow your progress, but other decisions can lose you the control of your IP until 75 years after you die. I was very lucky that my one dance with a traditional publisher was before they all started getting rights grabby. Even back when I knew nothing, it always bothered me when authors would say they sold their book. Most of the time you don't sell your book. You contract the rights for them to publish the book, and then they sell your book, and they might subcontract your other rights. But those rights still belong to you. You've just given them permission to use them. It's such a good idea to manage your mindset about what is actually happening when you work with a publisher. Just from outside observing, I think they bought the farm, your book. I will confess I have been super surprised by how traditional publishing has responded to the self-publishing revolution. I really thought they'd catch a clue and start treating authors like the publishing partners they actually are. No books, no publishing, after all. But they didn't. They've gotten even more rights grabby, so walk super warily around any contract you're offered from a large or small publisher. And yes, take a close look at those agent contracts too. Some of them have gotten very grabby too, and will try to attach themselves to your books and you for long past the point the relationship is working. Another good reason to plan and manage your business is to keep you from shiny object syndrome. Following this and that new thing that may work for some authors and their books, but just costs you money. If only I'd known, are the saddest 4 words from an author's mouth. When you manage your business, you can manage to avoid a lot of pitfalls. I can't protect you from every publishing problem known to authors, but I can warn you about some of the murky spots I've seen in my trek through the wacky, often painful, but still wonderful, to me, world of being an author. Lucky for you, you're reading this book and you can learn from my mistakes. I did them all for you, of course. Get the author Preorder's Odyssey here.